even going on? Hello, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Whidbey Island. My name is Reverend Zachary Vinczen, and I am the minister of this congregation. I want to express my gratitude for everyone who has helped make this service happen, for all of you who have contributed so we have this space, to my co-conspirator, Toyanne, to our lovely musicians, Eileen and Heather, Opus, our ushers, everyone, whether I named you or not, thank you. I have one announcement that I want to share with everyone before we move further into our service. And that's just to remind everyone that you're invited to our cottage meetings that are part of our annual stewardship drive. There's going to be a table in the foyer following the service, and so you're invited to go and sign up. It's a time for you to meet with other members of the congregation and discuss what it is that you value about this community and how you plan to be of support. I hope that all of you, whether you are gathered here physically in this sanctuary or joining us online through Zoom, find this space to be a time of deepening connection and inspiration. Here at this congregation, we strive to welcome people in the fullness of who they are. With that said, we hope that no matter who you are, who you love, how you believe, you are welcome here. May this brief hour of time together be a time of meaning. I now invite you to join me in taking a breath. To center yourself as Eileen offers our prelude.
The best things in life were absolutely free, but no one appreciated a sky that was always blue, and no one congratulated a moon that was always new. So it was planned that they would vanish now and then, and you must pay before you get them back again. That's what storms were made for, and you shouldn't be afraid for every time it rains pennies from heaven. Don't you know each cloud contains pennies from heaven? You'll find your fortune falling all over town. Be sure that your umbrella is upside down. Trade them for the things you love, you must have showers. So when you hear his thunder, don't run under a tree. There'll be pennies from heaven for you and me.
Generosity, what a wondrous UU value it is. We share our talents in the work of our church, and to those who are seekers, we share our principles and values. We share our creativity and our thoughts. We generously offer our resources to make our church possible. We share willingly, freely, and compassionately. Our hearts are generous. We are generous. Generosity shows us we are not alone. It links the giver with the receiver. We feel our connection with others. We are part of a vast web of connections, blessed by gifts beyond our own making. Khalil Gibran suggests it is a privilege to give when he says, "See first that you yourself deserve to be a giver and an instrument of giving." Generosity is indeed wondrous. Please rise in body or spirit and join in speaking our affirmation. You will see the words on the screen. And please remain standing for our hymn. Love, spirit of this congregation, practice. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to help one another.
Gather to celebrate once again.
I'm going to tell the story from here today rather than up there, because of the heater, and I don't want to trip, but it was a little harder for me to hold all the details of this one in my head, so I'm going to use a script a bit. The title of this story is Sophia's Guest. I think a lot of people see it and think Sophia, but it's a reference to Sophia Lyons, who was a famous Unitarian religious educator who left a big imprint on our tradition. And so, once upon a time, there was a teacher named Sophia. Sophia had been a teacher in the same small town where she lived for so long that the first class of students that she had have since grown up and had their own children. And now their children come to Sophia's class too. Nearly everyone in town knew Sophia and loved her, not only because she was an excellent teacher, but she was also very kind. One day, when Sophia got to work, she found a note on her desk. The note read, "Dear Sophia, I will be around tomorrow. I wonder if I might stop by your house for tea tomorrow afternoon. Your friend, God." At first, Sophia thought it was a joke, but the more she thought about it, she started to think, what if it wasn't a joke? It wasn't funny if it was meant to be a joke, and she couldn't think of anyone who would play such a joke on her. She thought, maybe God really is coming. What if he comes to my house tomorrow afternoon? Sophia thought that she would get ready just in case. On her way home from work, she stopped by the store and bought one of those mats people put on their porch that says in big letters, "Welcome," with an exclamation point. When she got home, she cleaned her house from top to bottom. She brought in fresh flowers from her garden and put them in a vase in the living room. She cleaned and cleaned until everything was sparkly. In the morning, Sophia realized she didn't know what God liked to eat. So she baked bread and made a casserole and fruit salad and baked some cookies too. That should cover it, she thought. And what about tea? Does God like hot tea or iced tea? She thought, I better make both just in case. And what if God's favorite thing in the whole world is lemonade? So she thought she should make some lemonade too. She was so nervous. She didn't know what to expect when God came. But just then, there was a knock on Sophia's door, and her heart went pat, pat, pat. She took a big breath, opened the door slowly, and on the other side of the door was the mayor. "Hello, Sophia. I was walking by and smelled the delicious smell of baking bread and thought I would stop by and say hello." Sophia said, "I'm so glad you're here. Come in, come in. I'm expecting a very important guest. You might want to meet them. Please come in, make yourself at home." Sophia and the mayor sat and having a nice discussion when there was a knock again at the door. Again, Sophia's heart went pat, pat, pat. She took a deep breath, opened the door slowly, and there on the other side was a group of children from her class. "Hello, Miss Sophia. We were walking by and noticed the smell of fresh baked cookies. We hope you don't mind if we join you." Sophia said, "Oh, I'm so glad you're here. Come in, come in. I'm expecting a very important visitor, and I think you might want to meet them." The children were giving the mayor some much-needed advice when there was a knock at the door again. Sophia's heart again went pat, pat, pat. Deep breath, opened the door. It was the entire Women's Covenant group from church. "Hello, Sophia. We heard the tea kettle and the laughter and thought you might be having a party. Sophia said, "Oh, I'm so glad. Come in, come in. I'm expecting a very important guest that you might want to meet." All afternoon, people stopped by Sophia's house, lured by the yummy smells and happy sounds. The townspeople filled her house upstairs and downstairs and overflowed into the backyard and the front yard. As they got hungry, they made dinner together and ate as the sun set and the moon rose. It was a great party. People were playing games and telling stories and baking and playing music and talking together. Sophia had such a nice time that she completely forgot about her very important guest. Even as she waved goodbye to all of her guests at the end of the night, she felt only content at having such a lovely party. In the morning, though, Sophia woke up and remembered everything. She was confused. Whatever happened to God? All during her walk to work, she tried to figure out what had happened. All along the way, she smiled and waved at all the people who had been at her party the day before. She thought to herself, that really should happen more often. It was such a great time. When Sophia arrived back at her desk, she was surprised to find another note. It read, "Dear Sophia, I had such a wonderful time yesterday. The bread was delicious. The cookies were divine. Tea mixed with lemonade is my favorite. Thank you for being such a wonderful host. I hope we can do it again soon. Love, God." And that is our story. Please join me in a spirit of prayer. Spirit of love that moves within and among us. We come before you with hearts open to the sacred flow of life. We give thanks for the gifts we receive daily, the kindness of friends, the embrace of community, the simple abundance of breath and being. In a world that so often teaches us to grasp, to guard, to fear not having enough, help us to remember generosity is our birthright. May we move with trust, knowing that when we give, we participate in the great rhythm of creation itself. We pray in this moment for those who feel isolated, that they might feel connection. For those burdened by scarcity, that they might be met with abundance. For those searching for purpose, that they may know the joy of giving freely. Let our hands be willing, our hearts be open, our minds be attuned to the needs of the world around us. May our giving of time, resources, of presence be a reflection of our deepest held values. May we remember there is enough. We are enough. And together we create a world where love is both a gift and a giver. Amen. I invite you to rise in body and spirit. Hymn of today, number 300 in your hymnal.
With heart and mind and voice and hand, may we this time and place transcend to make our purpose understood. A mortal search for mortal good, a firm commitment to the goal of justice, freedom, peace for all. A mind that's free to seek the truth. A mind that's free in age and youth to choose a path no threat impedes. Wherever light of conscience leads, our martyrs died so we could be a church where every mind is free. A heart that's kind, a heart to search, makes love the spirit of our church, where we can grow and each one's gift is sanctified and spirits lift, where every door is open wide for all who choose to step inside.
More than 20 years ago, after being a member here for a short while, I set off on a planned stay out of the country for a couple of years. I knew everything and everyone would be strange to me, and I was excited. And it was important to me to think about what would come next once I came back to the island. I took great comfort in knowing UUCWI would be the community I would return to. I counted on it. I stayed in touch and came back to what felt like home. UUCWI was welcoming, familiar, accepting, and friendly. I felt challenged by those who were asking good questions about life and living, and who were offering a variety of answers which I could accept or not. I was free to offer my own answers and to explore my own questions. I became enthused about the camaraderie of working with others on projects. We raised money to build this church, and we built it. I found ways to offer my experience and skills for organizational and administrative tasks that can be important to keep things running. Much has changed, of course, over the past 20-some years, and much remains the same. This still feels like a home to me, for pretty much the same reasons. And like in any home, things need doing, and I want to do my share. Which brings me to the question I've been asked. Why are you doing this? Why serve as the president of the Board of Trustees, not only once, but more than once? Sometimes I think the real question is, who do you think you are? It's true, this is an honor, and others deserve their chance. But really, I take the query to be one of genuine curiosity, prompting me to think deeper about this. You see, that's one of the great things for me about being engaged in UUCWI. I am prompted to think. As I do whatever it is I do, I learn. In crafting this response, I have realized my work with the board is a way for me to seek meaning in doing what is familiar. For many years, my work was working with boards of directors and their budgets, agendas, discussions, angst. And by offering to serve the UUCWI board as I do, I get to acknowledge there is value in my experience with these rather mundane things. And if you have something of value to offer, shouldn't you share? When I share my gifts with this congregation, I get to practice doing this work in a supportive environment. Here I feel safe, knowing if one of us messes up, we'll begin again in love. I am reminded to keep UU values in mind, even, or maybe especially, when working with small details. This is an encouraging place for me to practice respect for the inherent worth and dignity of each person, to practice listening to others, expressing gratitude, expressing myself, patience, creativity, leadership, and more. And this is a place for me to talk about and to practice financial generosity. I know all our efforts are valuable and necessary, and so is money. This is a home for many of us, and we get to join together to support our valued minister, tech guru, and administrator, to support our heat, and much more. I continuously see things in a different light. I say practice because I'm always learning. I am never alone in this work. I'm always working with, on behalf of, or at the request of others. This work gives me a place to practice being who I am and doing what I do. I'm not saying I'm great at any of this. I fall miserably short much of the time. But I'm willing to share what resources I have, time and experience and money, for instance, with the hope these are of value to others. And the benefits of all this are the best. Friendships, a sense of satisfaction, new insights, inspiration, and more. I do this for me, and I do it for my UUCWI home. I know that no matter how far I might travel or for how long, I have a community, a home to return to. This is my home, and my work at UUCWI is my homework. Our pledge drive is beginning. Many of us make contributions as we promise to do, once a year, once a month, or whatever works best. And we have an additional opportunity to recommit to this place. As the ushers now pass the baskets, give what you will at this time. Give for this church that means so much to you and me, that feels like a home. Give for the importance of worshiping together, helping our community, and saying yes to the values of our faith. Give because you are generous. We are a generous people. The song, Welcome Home, has been chosen for our offertory. It resonates deeply, evoking a sense of being welcomed, valued, and respected, a feeling of truly being at home. It also reflects how UUCWI serves as a home for so many of us. It's a place where we can truly feel a sense of belonging. The ushers will now pass the baskets.
Why, whenever I leave this island for only a day to go to America across the bay, no matter what I do or see, after turning home again, I get off that ferry and then sweet voices, I hear sweet voices calling to me. Welcome home, says the street, as I hurry on my way. Welcome home, sings the gate like a song. Welcome home, says the door, glad to feel your hand once more. Now you're back where you belong. Welcome home, says the chair, holding out its friendly arms. Welcome home, says the bed, rest on me. Now you're back where you belong. Close your eyes, and the world will settle down to sighs. Welcome home, says the lamp, lighting up familiar things. Look around at your friends, good and true. Get your cares all untied while you're warming up inside. Welcome home to you. Welcome home to you.
We thank you for your generosity this morning. In the beginning was the gift. We are born helpless infants, creatures of pure need with little resource to give. Yet we are fed, we are protected, we are clothed and held and soothed without having done anything to deserve it, without offering anything in exchange. These words begin the first chapter of Charles Eisenstein's book, Sacred Economics: Money, Gift, and Society in the Age of Transition. For me, this creation myth that begins the book highlights the interdependent nature of life. While as individuals, it might be true that we are helpless infants when we come into the world, we are not helpless if we see ourselves as part of the larger whole, part of the lives of the other people who feed, protect, clothe, and soothe us. Well, I love seeing how this transformation in this vision from infancy to adult happens. At the same time, I'm curious if this is an accurate or helpful way to view the human experience. The idea that we are somehow creatures unto ourselves rather than a single, complex intersection of personalities, experiences, and ideas feels alienating to a deeper spiritual worldview that I hold. That at some foundational level, the separation between you and I is an illusion. Instead, we are part of a larger whole, in the same way our head, heart, and hands are distinct yet united in the same body. Echoing this sentiment, Eisenstein writes that separation is not an ultimate reality, but a human projection. Human nature does not exist in isolation. It emerges in response to its context. Beyond my own intuition of this spiritual truth and Eisenstein's proclamation of our dependent nature, there are others who have come to hold this same belief. Entire cultures in some cases. People who see the world through a lens of abundance and turn toward each other in mutuality rather than competition. Take the indigenous people of Torbreand Islands who see all life as being an expression of reciprocity. Based on this view, they instituted a system of economics based on gift giving, a system of economics really common to many indigenous cultures. The system was named the kula, or circle. Essentially, the system involved taking a precious bracelet to one end of the archipelago, and to one end of the archipelago, and a beautiful necklace to the other end of the archipelago. The two items of jewelry then would be exchanged village from village until at last the people who started with the bracelet now had the necklace, and the people who started with the necklace now had the bracelet, and everyone in between had their turns with the items too. This procession represented the reciprocal flow of goods, resources, and ideas in all directions. Eisenstein states that while the pinnacle of the kula system is the highly ritualized exchange of ceremonial bracelets and necklaces by chiefs, the gift network surrounding it extends to all kinds of utilitarian items: food, boats, labor, and so forth. In other words, the kula was a form of economic stimulus that binds this society together through cooperation. While today we often clearly distinguish between gift and commercial transactions, in the past, this distinction was not always as clear. Gift giving was a commercial transaction and a gift transaction. They were one and the same. For me, the major difference between systems of social organization like the people of the Torbreand Islands and the capitalist system that we live in has to do with prioritizing the value of abundance over scarcity. In these gift cultures, the idea of sharing is understood to be mutually beneficial, while under capitalist principles, sharing is often viewed as a loss. The power to induce the collective hallucination of scarcity is only one of the ways that money affects our perceptions. In the book, The Soul of Money, Lynn Twist tells us that money in itself isn't good or bad. Money doesn't have power or not have power. It is our interpretation of money, our interaction with it, where the real mischief is, and where we find the real opportunity for self-discovery and personal transformation. In other words, it's our perception and engagement with money that gives it utility. That means we can either choose to be generous or guard it, and in choosing, shape our reality. Not in a prosperity gospel sort of way, but in a way that recognizes that resources shared are not lost. There's enough for all of us already. The poet Mary Cornish draws on principles of abundance and challenges the theme of scarcity in her poem, Numbers. She writes, I like the generosity of Numbers. The way, for example, they are willing to count anything or anyone. 2 pickles, 1 door to the room, 8 dancers dressed as swans. I like the domesticity of addition. Add 2 cups of milk and stir. The sense of plenty. 6 plums on the ground, 3 more falling from the tree. And multiplication's school of fishes times fish, whose silver bodies breed beneath the shadows of a boat. Even subtraction is never loss, just addition somewhere else. 5 sparrows take away 2, 2 in someone else's garden now. There's an amplitude to long division as it opens Chinese takeout box by paper box. Inside every folded cookie, a new fortune. And I never failed to be surprised by the gift of an odd remainder, footloose at the end. 47 divided by 11 equals 4, with 3 remaining. 3 boys beyond their mother's call. 2 Italians off at sea. 1 sock that isn't anywhere you look. When I first encountered this poem, the line that stuck in my head was the line, even subtraction is never loss, just addition somewhere else. It runs counter to the way I've always thought of subtraction. These numbers are going away, but where? It's just addition somewhere else. For me, this line gets at the heart of the distinction between abundance and scarcity. Under scarcity, the act of subtraction represents a loss. Under abundance, subtraction is simply redistribution. Nothing is lost, just moved. Today, as Toyan has mentioned, marks the kickoff of our congregation's annual pledge drive. This is a time of year when we get to practice generosity and abundance with each other. It's a chance to embrace the principles of gift culture. The reality is that we as individuals all have different means. For some of us, making a financial gift is not a big deal. For others, it can represent a hardship. But when we get beyond the view of individuals, I do believe that there is more than enough resources between all of us to support and sustain this congregation. It's not on any one of you as individuals, but on all of us collectively to make it happen. In preparation for this service, which we often refer to as the Sermon on the Mount, I had several conversations with folks about the themes underlying the stewardship drive. Themes of generosity, financial stewardship, interconnection, and talked with people about their reasons for supporting this community, for choosing to be part of it. The following is a brief synopsis of all of those conversations compiled together. People said, "This is what our church offers, a sanctuary where head, heart, and hands come together in balance. It's a place of refuge where we can recenter ourselves before reaching out to others or taking on the hard challenges of life. Some come here seeking sanctuary. Others come to create it. And here both are welcome. Our classes, our outreach, our social justice work, these are gifts that we offer to each other and the wider world, embodying our shared values together. At the core of our community is the understanding that generosity is not just an act, but a way of being together. We give not out of obligation, but because giving is how we affirm our shared humanity. This church, like all sanctuaries, exists because of the continuous exchange of care and support between its members. It is the spirit of reciprocity that connects us to something greater than ourselves. To those of you I spoke with, I hope that captured the sentiment. And I would like to add that in a time when we are facing rising authoritarianism here in our own country and around the world, communities like this, places where we can gather together, are more necessary. Places of growth and refuge where we can build coalitions of resistance and share our successes. Places where we are given hope through solidarity that reminds us that we are not alone in the struggle. If you believe in this vision, if you want to see this work continue and grow, I encourage you to make a financial contribution. If you made a pledge last year and you happen to be in a situation you can afford to give more, please do. If you're someone who has never made a pledge to this congregation but are wanting to get more involved, consider contributing. If you're someone who is not in the best financial situation at this moment, and giving financially would be a hardship to you, consider other ways to give. Offer a class, join a committee, give your talents in whatever form they come in. I'm asking each of you, in whatever means you have, to consider giving and supporting this church. This year, the leadership and discussions looking at the budget set our total goal for $177,000. This is the estimated amount that we need to continue supporting our staff, our musicians, improving the buildings and grounds, getting heat here in the sanctuary, expanding our programs to promote education and outreach, as well as enhancing activities that help us to grow our spiritual sanctuary. I want to turn in closing to my rework of the creation myth I started this sermon with. In the beginning was the gift. We were born into this world helpless, yet we were met with care, with nourishment and love. Without transaction, without expectation. This is the natural order of things. An interconnected web of giving and receiving where abundance flows, not through hoarding, but through sharing. Yet somewhere along the way, we were told a different story, that we must earn our worth, that scarcity is the rule, and that competition outweighs cooperation. but the truth, echoed by indigenous wisdom, by sacred economics, and the generosity of numbers, is that we thrive when we give. Like the Torbriand Islanders, the Kula Ring, where gifts circulate endlessly, strengthening bonds and ensuring no one goes without. We, too, are meant to live in reciprocity. Your contribution is not just a donation. It's an act of rebalancing, a declaration that abundance is real and meant to be shared. It is the spark that fuels a movement where resources flow freely, where no subtraction is a loss, but merely an addition somewhere else. Give not out of obligation, but out of knowing that when we share, we all grow richer together. To the glory of life. I invite you to rise as you are willing and able as we join together in singing our closing hymn of today's service, hymn number 1018, Come and Go With Me to This Land.
As we extinguish our chalice, may the continuing light of generosity be the hallmark of our relationships with each other, with our church, and with the world.
Our service has ended, but our service to the world and one another begins anew. May we go from this space inspired by a spirit of abundance to share our gifts with each other and the world. May it be so.
Good luck to all of us. We have a wonderful participatory closing postlude. Some of you may already know Malvina Reynolds' song, Magic Penny. These are words and matching signs that were developed to help preschool children sing this. Are we up to it? Okay, so I'm going to go through the motions. You are welcome to sing the words. You are welcome to only do the signs as you learn them. You're welcome to do both together. We will be failing in front of you, so this is the way it goes. Love, cross your hands over your chest, and we're going to start, so we're always going to go in the same direction. It goes, love is something if you, now give it away. You just make your hands into cups, do this, and give it away. Let's do it from the beginning. This is looking good. Love is something if you give it away, give it away, give it away. Love is something if you give it away. Now this is the ASL sign. They're not all ASL signs. For more, it's this. So love is something if you give it away, you end up having more. Let's just do that out, and this time we'll sing it. Ready? Love is something if you give it away, give it away, give it away. Love is something if you give it away, you end up having more. Now this is where only the brave will follow. It goes like this. It's just like, this is the ASL, so it's just like, ready for this? A magic penny is half circle, so it's just like a magic penny, so we'll do that part again. It's just like a magic penny. Hold it tight and you won't have any. Do that much again. It's just like a magic penny. Hold it tight and you won't have any. But lend it, spend it. Do that again. But lend it, spend it, and you'll have so many. Easy. They'll roll all over the floor. Let's just do the signs. As I said, you will sing, you will sign, you will do both, you will do neither. Okay. Let's try from the beginning, not singing it, but just with all the words. So, love is something if you give it away, give it away. Good. Give it away. Love is something if you give it away, you end up having more. It's just like a magic penny. Hold it tight and you won't have any. Lend it, spend it, and you'll have so many. They'll roll all over the floor. Well, I am impressed. Okay, we're going to sing it several times through.